spokesperson, Theo Malele, and the Alexandra Taxi Association spokesperson, Jabulani Tsanganye. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thanks for having us.
Well, let me start with you, Mr. Tsanganye. Just talk to us about the memorial service that took place today. How was the service, and how were those 12 men remembered?
Firstly, I want to say we are very, very sorry to the families, all of them. We see what these things really happened now. It's very, very painful, but we as the taxi industry, we are very sorry to everybody, even their relative. If we're talking about that memorial service for today, it was very, very sad, painful to see 11 families, children, old person, women and fathers, grandfathers that are there. But we try even to preach them, to tell them, please, God will be with you, just relax. Then wait for the police to take his way, wait for the police or government to see who's done these things. But as far as I say, we are not happy. Memorial service that is happening in Ivory today. Our chairperson instructions was there. All of people are there and the stakeholders are there. Even associations was there. We are supporting this thing to have it open. But we're requesting the police to do something about it not happening now.
Well, the police, Mr. Malele, said that they're giving themselves 72 hours. Has anything been done?
Well, let me also first by passing our heartfelt condolences to the families of the bereaved, and also wish those that are still in hospital a speedy recovery.
Yes.
And let me also hasten to say that it is sad that it is not people that are selling oranges or that are selling alcohol that are doing this to the taxi industry. This is a self-inflicted kind of a wound. We are doing this to ourselves as an industry. This has become an endemic, and we must take a blame because it is us that are causing this from happening. And it is also us that can see to it that this whole thing comes to an end. We're saying, why is it that every time we have differences, we solve them through violent means, when we can actually engage and try and find each other, because we are in business to grow, we're in business to prosper and make sure that we look after our siblings, we take them through school and they become better people in society tomorrow, and we also promote the economy of the country. But this that we are doing, it is just not on, and it has to stop, because no amount of killing will correct the status quo. But only the amount of talking to one another can bring about the necessary change. This country was brought about through dialogue. I mean, no one ever thought that the apartheid regime, as mighty as it was, would be defeated through dialogue, and it happened. So why can't we emulate from our leaders and also follow suit in trying to find a solution to this problem?
And speaking about dialogue as well, you mentioned that you were at a meeting yesterday with the members of legislature. Can you give us a bit of an update on the outcomes of that meeting?
Look, the National Taxi Alliance, has been troubled by what has happened. And as a result, it was called to a meeting. It's just a pity that our counterparts were not present at the meeting due to some circumstances beyond their means. But the crux of it all is this, that we wanted to find each other with government to say we accept the wrongs that the industry has done, but let us also apportion blame to you, government. And how do we do that? It's primarily because of what the collective leadership of the taxi industry did. The leadership of the taxi industry came with solutions. Remember, the legislature also investigated, the killings in the taxi industry, and there were resolutions out of that. And we also had a summit. We had a taxi in Daba, we had a summit at Irene, and all that the very same resolutions that came there were fused together with those that the legislature had actually made. So with those findings, we had about 16 salient points, actionable items, so to say. And much to our dismay, only 2.5 of those were resolved. But we are quite upbeat that the legislature is taking this up with the authorities, to actually expedite the whole process. We spoke about means and ways of, dealing with this, conflict and, grievance resolution processes. So we are hopeful that, very soon we would actually get back to, the negotiating table and, begin to map out, a way forward in order to resolve this impasse.
Mr. Sanyan, in terms of a way forward, do you think a dialogue is enough? Should the police also be doing more? Because, I mean, if we look at this case of the 12 murders, they gave themselves 72 hours and it seems like no arrests have been made. What exactly should be done to make these processes actually be faster?
I think if government maybe going to call the structures, all of the structures to sit down with them, or any associations is around to them, to sit down and discuss what's the way forward. Because if you look at it from now, we are told that there was one suspect that was arrested from now, 1 or 2 suspects arrested from now. But for the way forward, I think it would be better for the government to call the tax industry and sit down with the tax industry and look for a way forward. Maybe other things will happen again. We don't know. It might happen. But if government can work hand in hand with the tax industry for anything that is coming, to have some meeting before something is coming, before coming the big things, to have that meeting, or there's once a month or twice a month, then to see what's wrong with the tax industry. Because sometimes somewhere we're taking the blame as the tax industry. The things the people that are dying, they are owners, they are our brothers and sisters. But again, where is government on that portion? Because government is supposed to interfere. Government is supposed to do something for us. We don't know. I don't know what's happened on that accident that's happened from now. But I'm looking for a overseer now. The government is supposed to call us to have a meeting, all the stakeholders, even the owners of the mall, to talk and see before the accidents happen, to talk about these things happening.
So prevention rather than a cure method.
Yeah. Sometimes, as far as we say, we don't have enough time with the government, to be honest. We don't have that enough time. Government is coming to us when there's an accident come. But it's supposed to sit down before the mall's opening, or before the planning down for the road of the mall, or the planning for the mall, to call us and sit down and look all over. I'm not talking about this accident, but I'm talking about the future, to try to minimize the accident that has happened now.
As a way forward. Now,
gun-free taxi ranks should be the order of the day. But let me just also step into what my colleague is saying here. Every time there's a development, the taxi associations next to the said development area needs to be involved in the planning of, the transportation of people from where it operates to that development area. But we should also go beyond that and look at other operators that are most likely to be
interested in that
development, bringing people to the development, so that your integrated development plan then has a synergy with your integrated transport plan. If you do those ahead of the development being propped up, you are less likely going to have problems, because we will then talk and say, this is where Jangazi operates, and this is where Malele, crosses over. So how do we solve that? And already with what's just about to happen, this route mapping plan that we're just about to embark on with, the CSIR to map routes and see, how many passengers, traverse in these areas. We should be able to say, how many passengers am I ferrying on a daily basis? And should there be a development, I should also know as to whether will I be growing or will my business be shrunk. If we have these kind of engagements, so we are less likely to have violence. So hence he says, government needs to step its effort up and make sure that it has meaningful discussions, on these developments and the transformation. Yes, we understand that transformation has to begin with us, but the aspect of regulation also has to kick in.
So government has to also be proactive. Now, Mr. Malele, just in rounding off, there is a planned sort of shutdown tomorrow somewhat, where drivers are planning to strike against these increasing, ridiculously high petrol prices. The DA, we know, is on board in the strike. There were some talks that the taxis might be involved. Can you confirm that?
Look, the National Taxi Alliance has never been, approached by any political party for that matter. We were approached by some local operators of ambulances and breakdowns that wanted us to join, to club up with them and do something. But as a matter of principle, we will not be participating with what the Democratic Alliance is saying we will be doing. We distance ourselves from that, and we take strong exception to people that would actually involve us in things that we had not agreed on. We have a different approach to this, because shutting down, it's something else, because the very next day, the status quo will still, be there. So rather, let's then engage and look at, the actual problems that are facing us. Let's look at, those small, tiny little frills that feed onto the petrol for it to get to 16 rands, because, basically, petrol is 7.50 rand, the landed cost. So then you have this all other frills. Let us look at on how best do we minimize, on some of these costs that are attached to the fuel price. And in so doing, we will be engaging with the Department of Minerals and Energy to try and find a long-term solution, because a shutdown, it would not be a necessary long-term solution. Yeah, it's just a solution for a day. I mean, on that day, businesses will have a contingency plan. They probably would be playing golf.
And petrol still goes up in August, on that first Wednesday of the month.
Still goes up. So we would rather engage meaningfully in looking for everlasting solutions to this problem.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. You wanted to say something just in closing, Mr.
I want to concur with my chairperson to that one, that with the taxi industry, especially Santaco, there's no one who come to us and sit down with us and talk about the things that is happening. So I want to tell everybody, all of our drivers, to say on that day we are going to work. And I want to make sure for our passengers that our combis will be there in the road to service the people. So we're not going on strike, we're working on that day.
Thank you very much. And to our viewers at home, if you will be taking part in that strike tomorrow against the high petrol prices, do send us your pictures and eyewitness stories to @AfroWorldView.